Salutations, people! Welcome to Page 3 Killers, Murders That Went Unnoticed, a podcast where we dive into the murder cases that went unnoticed by our nation's newspapers. Hi, guys. Welcome to our special. As you can see, John's not here today, but I have Chelsea. So say hi, Chelsea.
Hello, everybody.
This is my best friend, Chelsea, and she's gonna help me out with this awesome special today.
Yep.
And in case you guys have forgotten, you guys are listening to Page 3 Killers, Murders That Went Unnoticed.
The best podcast ever.
Totally. So I know for our fans in the UK, we've got a handful that tune in every week. This one's for you guys, really, because somebody did reach out to us last, like, maybe 2 weeks ago and asked if we were going to be doing another one in England anytime soon. So I realized that the last 10 episodes I did US, so we're going to branch out. We're going to do the Thames Torso Murders, which, so we're looking at roughly Victorian London, right around Jack the Ripper.
Yep. In the 1800s?
Yeah, 1887 to 89. So there's a bunch. And I have to say, I just enjoy these thoroughly because everything's a mystery.
Oh, John.
It's fine. So John just poked in to get what was it? The PlayStation controller. Yeah. So, I mean, he doesn't play that very often. So, yeah. All right. So we're gonna start. There are 4 canonical torso murders, and we're gonna talk about those today. So we have the Rainheim mystery, the Whitehall mystery, the murder of Elizabeth Jackson, and the Pinchin Street torso murder, which are super awesome. And then there are like a series of other ones later on after that that were similar. But these are probably all different killers. Like, I believe their newspapers did speculate that it could have been Jack the Ripper responsible for the torso murders plus the canonical 4, yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna start off with the Rainheim mystery. So between May and June of 1887. I'm like, oh yeah, like, oh, could it be 1987? No, it's 1887. The remains of women were being found in the Thames River on the riverbanks near Rainheim. Now, workers first encountered a bundle of containing the torso of a woman. Through May and June, various parts started washing up, with the exception of the head and the upper chest. So my guess is
chopping them off mid-torso.
Yeah, like right under. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. So the investigation concluded that the body had not been dissected for medical purposes, but the degree of medical knowledge had been necessary to perform the dissection. So they're like, oh yeah, we don't know who did it, but we suspect that he might have had some anatomical knowledge. So I'm thinking butcher right there. Like, if it's
they
not,
know where to cut.
Yeah, exactly. They're the ones that are gonna know how to dissect a body the best, next to a doctor or coroner.
So we're either looking at a butcher or a doctor.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no real evidence of anything that can help them because, one, they have next to no forensics capability. The body was in the water. Without a head or any way to identify this person, they don't know who they are, let alone who would have wanted to kill them.
No hands, no teeth.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And, like, you're not, in this day and age, there's no records. Like, families kept records of births and deaths, but you didn't have to, like, register.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, some people might have, like, maybe the middle class to upper class, but not the lower class. They wouldn't have, like, kept a record of births or deaths.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you just murdered somebody, you're not going to report them missing. You're just like, oh yeah, they just totally just ran off, because what's somebody going to do? Write a letter? Like, they can't call them.
There's murdered this person. Just
yeah.
So you know.
Yeah, you just took them out.
Threw them in the water.
Yeah.
Ate their limbs.
Some little fish food. Yeah, so it's, very unlikely that any of these could have been solved.
A lot of people got away with murder.
Oh, yeah. And it's a shame because, and that so many people got away with it. How many people just confessed because of, like, police brutality or something like that?
Forceful.
And just, yeah. And this is back in the day when they were allowed to, like, just beat the crap out of you. Like, if you've ever seen, there is a British series called Ripper Street. I know you like Bridgerton.
I'm into Bridgerton.
Yeah. I think everybody, all women are into Bridgerton right now. Yes. But Ripper Street has, have you seen the Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley in it?
Yes.
The guy that plays the Mr. Darcy.
Yes.
He's in it. He plays the main detective in it. And it takes place in Whitechapel, London, after Jack the Ripper. So it's like within a few years after Jack the Ripper, and it gives you just such a good idea of, like, what, like, that area was like.
Okay.
And, like, it just shows you how they acted, because it was literally the first police force in the world. Like, they didn't have, up until the 1800s, there wasn't an established police force. So literally you had a mob of men
who just said they were authority.
Yeah.
Do whatever they wanted.
So it would probably be your mayor, your preacher, and then a bunch of the upper class men. Yeah. That would deal out justice however they saw fit.
You're guilty.
Yeah.
Because I said so.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's how it worked back then, until they came up with their first police force, and John said this is where everything went wrong. Was that, yeah, and they would just they waterboard you. Like, they would just do anything to get you to confess to it.
Even if you were innocent.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a lot of innocent people being released now because of forensic evidence.
Yeah. Like, there's a series, I believe it's on Netflix, and it's, Last Chance Lawyers. And it's literally, last chance investigations for people. And there was one that was, like, really awesome. It was a guy who literally, he was not guilty of murder. And the cops were like, no, you did it. We saw you. We have you on camera. Here, he's on camera. His lawyer and a bunch of private investigators and just random people were able to find video of him sitting at a baseball game, which corroborated his story that he wasn't out there for the murder. And they had to release him out of jail. But it took, like, 10 years.
That's 10 years of your life.
Yeah.
Gone.
And, I mean, that's a pretty hefty settlement afterwards. But, yeah, that's...
But time. You lost all that time.
Yeah. So, well, back to the Rainheim mystery.
Murders.
Yeah, back to our torso murders. Now, because the doctors could not state a cause of death, the jury was forced to return a verdict of found dead as the cause of death in the Rainheim mystery. So in England, what they do is they have, like, a coroner's inquest. Mm-hmm. So that would be like pre-trial stuff here in the United States. So it would basically be like going to, like, the grand, like a grand jury to see if the evidence is enough to support a case. So here they didn't have a suspect. They probably rounded up a bunch of guys that, might have been able to do this, but the likelihood of them linking somebody was slim to nothing. So they just returned a verdict of found dead, and that's it. They closed it. It's, never been solved.
So she's a Jane Doe.
Yes, Jane Doe. No name. Now we have the Whitehall mystery. Now that was in between September 11th and October 17th of 1888. And this is the dismembered remains of a woman who was discovered in 3 different sites in the center of the city. So that's pretty crazy.
That is. So you chopped her up, dropped her all over the city.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And one of those dump sites was the future site of the Scotland Yard headquarters where it currently sits now. Which I think is insane. That's kind of like cool information to know. Like, hey, oh wow, there's like a historical death that, that happened here, and it's kind of what Scotland Yard fights against now. So they're like, yeah, we don't,
We found the dead body. We became the enforcers.
Yeah. So the torso was matched by a police surgeon, Thomas Bond, to a right arm and shoulder that had previously been discovered on the muddy shores of the Thames River on September 11th. Now, the Times newspaper had initially suspected that the arm was placed in the water as a medical student's prank. I don't get how that's a prank. I don't know. But I guess maybe humor is different in 1800s, but I don't.
Let's put somebody's dead arm in the water and let it float and scare people.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Victorians were very morbid in a way, and this is like worldwide. This isn't just Victorian London. This is like the writing, everything, because you have Mary Shelley writing at this time. You have Bronte sisters, their writings, but most notably is the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which this kind of invokes that to me, because it's about putting together a person out of bits and pieces, and some of this could have been her inspiration.
True.
Some of the Torso Murders, yeah. So.
Pause for 1 second.
Yep. Right back. This is it's too fun. Yeah, we're just chilling, guys.
Drinking.
I know this would be even worse. Yeah, I'm on polar seltzer. This one's really good. I like this one.
I'm drinking some honest organic green tea with a little bit of honey. No flavor.
You got no flavor.
No flavor. I'm trying to be healthy over here.
Oh,
Give me the sugar.
Now, on October 17th of 1888, we have reporter Jasper Waring uses a dog with the permission of the police to help them, maybe track down, to help out. So to find a left leg cut above the knee that was buried near a construction site. So yeah, that happened, and like I said, unsolved. There's no more information. That's it.
Aww.
Yeah. Now we have Elizabeth Jackson. Now this one here has by far the most information out of all of them.
And they found out who she was?
Yeah. So.
Shocking, especially in that time period.
Yeah. To be able to identify somebody's remains, that is like unheard of. For that time period. She just saw a note that I highlighted, guys. Once we get down to it, it'll be pretty funny.
It will, because I have a story too about my name.
So now on the 4th of June, 1889, a female torso was found in the Thames, and more body parts were soon found within the next week. also pulled from the banks of the Thames. Now, the London Times reported on the 11th of June that the remains found are as follows. And this was like literally right from the article. Now, Tuesday, a left leg and thigh were found off of Battersea, the lower part of the abdomen in Horsley Down. Thursday, you had the liver near Nine Elms. You had an upper part of the body in Battersea Park. The neck and shoulders were found off of Battersea.
Oh, so they chopped her right here?
Yeah, so she was severed into quite a few pieces. And on Friday, they found the right foot and part of the leg at Wandsworth. The left leg and foot found in Limehouse. And then Saturday, the left arm and hand were found at Bankside. The butt and pelvis were found off of Battersea. The right thigh at Chelsea Embankment. And yesterday, I'm guessing it was Sunday, but they had yesterday, the right arm and hand at Bankside. So yeah.
So they chopped her from the shoulders up, then they chopped her from the stomach, then they chopped her from the knees and the feet. Jeez.
Now the investigation concluded
Did they
that
say she died post or pre?
I am not 100% sure, but the investigation, once they concluded that medical knowledge had been necessary to perform the dismemberment. So this one here, they're like, okay, it might be a doctor. I'm thinking it's a doctor. Now, at the inquest held by Mr. Braxton Hicks, I wonder what.
He's named after the pre-labor.
Well, maybe that was named after him.
Or named after.
Maybe we gotta look that up. That would be kind of interesting to look up.
Why would Braxton Hicks be named him?
Oh, maybe he's the one that like
called them out.
Yeah.
Pre-labor.
Yeah, maybe he's the one that figured it out. I mean, women probably knew about it way longer.
He just told everybody.
Yeah, he just told everybody and was just like, "Hey, there's this thing that happens." Yeah.
Women are having Braxton Hicks like me.
or could you, like, his wife is just, oh my God, this is like you.
A little Braxton Hicks, and it's pre-labor for our son.
Yeah.
Braxton.
That's a kind of an Braxton. I do like that name. I do like Braxton. I'm a fan of Gideon now.
I do like Gideon. I remember when you first mentioned that. I think that's really cute.
And the only reason why John likes it is because it's a Magic the Gathering character.
So it's a win-win.
Me, it's one of my favorite characters on Criminal Minds.
Oh yes,
Gideon, who's in like the first couple of seasons, and then he's like gone. Quit. Yeah.
He was too good for that show.
I also like Derek Morgan. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh.
Let me tell you.
It's like, it would, you know what? It would be really hard if you put Simon from Bridgerton and him in a room together. It would just be like, oh no, I don't know.
Can I just have a hug? Give me a hug.
It's like group hug.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Now, Mr. Braxton Hicks, on the 17th of June, it was stated that, so this is during the inquest on the 17th, he says the following: the division of the parts shown skill and design, not, however, the anatomical skill of a surgeon, but the practical knowledge of a butcher or a knacker. And I believe a knacker is pretty much like somebody that does dissections, like in the school of like knowledge and stuff like that. Okay. But like also at this time you had like the body snatchers, and those were the guys that would go out into, because they didn't have a lot of specimens to use to dissect and to teach at these colleges and stuff.
So we just go to graveyards and
they would literally go and they would dig up people, steal their bodies, and take them over to the school, and a student would pay them some money for it, and yeah.
And they're dissecting it.
There was 2 guys.
So they could be already deceased bodies that they're finding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, so...
Minus Elizabeth. Apparently she was.
Yeah.
Murdered.
Now, there was a great similarity between the condition regarding cut up of the remains that okay, so it was similar to the ones found in Rainham, the Rainham torso murder, and at the new police building on the Thames embankment. So he referenced that as well in his, like, so he was like, it's very, yeah, he thought that they were similar enough that they matched, and it sounded like from how the body was cut up, it was very similar.
The last one when they were cut halfway up, I mean, it's similar.
Yeah, exactly. So like this one here, it was like they cut like down, well, there, at the above the knees, and then they cut it. They did like down this way for this top part, because they said that they found right arm and right at 2 separate times. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like how much of that is from like being in the water and just the conditions of being in the water?
Maybe they ripped apart.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so the London Times reported on June 5th that, in the opinion of the doctors, the woman had been dead only 48 hours, and the body had been dissected somewhat roughly by a person who must have had some knowledge of the joints of the human body. Now, she was about 8 months pregnant. Now, the doctors also were this time unable to establish the cause of death. Now, the jury,
so they don't know if he dissected her while she was alive. Or
I mean, to me,
did they find the head?
No,
just the neck and the shoulders.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the jury, however, reached the decision of willful murder against the some persons or person unknown. So it was left open-ended because they didn't have a suspect. Now, though the head was never found, the victim was identified as Elizabeth Jackson, a homeless prostitute from Chelsea.
Side note, my name is Chelsea because I was named after my mom's favorite bar.
Yeah. And Chelsea is like a section of London. It's like kind of, well, nowadays I think it's like a little bit of a nicer area, but I think back in the day it might have been a little rougher of an area, but that's pretty much, you know, per the course. I mean, you had some really good areas, and then you had like just like crappy areas, like where people didn't live in like homes. They rented rooms for the day, and they would literally go out and work to just earn enough to buy a bed to pay for a room for the next night, kind of thing. And that's like pretty much what the women were doing when they were killed by Jack the Ripper.
They were prostitutes.
Yeah, so they literally, especially in that poor area of the city.
So since they didn't find anybody, could have been Jack the Ripper.
It could have been, yeah. But I don't know why he's just gonna leave, you know,
random body parts.
Yeah, random body parts when he clearly wanted them on spectacle. He wanted them seen, wanted them found.
He could have put them somewhere and then maybe washed away, or.
Yeah, that's true. Although my theory is that it was somebody that they knew, husband, somebody, you know, yeah, they got into a fight. Somebody choked somebody out.
Chopped off the and just let them go.
Yeah, just and
or
to get
they
move the bodies
and brought them to a school and sold their body because they were dead. And
yes
had these kids chop them up to learn the
yeah and then they
body.
got to get rid of it, like they can't because there was only so many that were like legally known, because I believe at the time you could only dissect people who were homeless, that like when the bodies are found brought in, you could dissect those, and criminals. It was like there was because I believe around this time they created a law that prevented them from just taking anybody's body and using it, because there was two guys that were working together, and they killed people and like just sold their bodies, like, and it was
for
like
dissection.
Yeah, so what they would do is they would get like an insurance policy. An insurance policy off them, and then they'd get that money, and then they'd turn around and sell the body and get that money. And so they're like, yeah, what?
We're making money off of bodies.
Yeah. Now next up we have the Pinchin Street Torso Murders, which happens in 1889. So on September 10th, police constable William Penton found the headless and legless torso of an unidentified woman under a railway arch at Pinchin Street in Whitechapel. So that's Jack the Ripper area right there. Now,
was she on display or was she?
My guess is, I mean, it was underneath of a railway arch, so probably not. Maybe not.
There wasn't like, you know, the people that mimic or like to follow the murderers.
Yeah.
Or somebody who was trying to be like Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, like like a copycat. Yeah. That seems like, I mean, usually
except they were too nervous to get caught, so maybe they didn't display their bodies because they didn't want anybody to know.
Yeah. So, like, I think the idea of a copycat is
Somebody
just television. Like, because all killers, they, like, from everything that I've like researched and read and watched, they seem to do what they can get off doing, you know, because they get you know, they get some sort of like sexual gratification.
All of this, murder mysteries on all podcasts.
Yeah.
And yours, and Michael goes, "Are you gonna kill me?" He's like, "Are you gonna murder me?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Why do you watch all these murders? Why do you watch this?" He's like, "If I wake up dead, everybody's gonna know why."
Yeah. When me and John first started going out, he used to come over and we would watch true crime, because I loved watching ID channel. So I would be folding laundry, and just out of nowhere, he or I would turn to the other and say, "You know what? If I ever get to the point where I'm going to murder you, I will make sure it is not that painful. I'll make sure that you listen. I'll run you over with the car, but I'm not gonna back up.
Just hit you once.
Just hit you once, and then we're done."
Drag you out.
Yeah. So in his when we got married, in his speech that he gave, in his vows, he said that he promised never to go through with the murder plots that we planned, which was so kind of endearing.
I remember everybody got quiet.
Yeah, it was like
okay. Your mom was like, "What did you just say?"
What?
Did you just say no murder plots?
Yeah, so we promised not to murder each other.
We'll keep our composure.
Yeah.
No murders today. We'll murder other people.
Now, it seemed possible that the murder was committed elsewhere, and parts of the dismembered body were scattered for easy disposal, which I feel is sort of more the case for these. Mm-hmm. Is like I said, somebody killed somebody, and then they had to get rid of the body somehow. So they just cut it up and just like took it out one piece at a time.
The head and fingers, and you're not.
Exactly.
They're not identified.
Yeah, because like once it goes in the water, at this time, they had fingerprints, but it was like pretty new, and it was hit or miss with taking fingerprints.
They weren't experts yet.
Yeah, but I think at this time is like when they're starting to realize that everybody has different fingerprints. Like, yeah. So a woman's torso was found at 5:15 a.m. on Tuesday, the 10th of September, under a railway arch at Pitchin Street. The extensive bruising about the victim's back, hip, arm, indicated that she had been severely beaten shortly before her death, which had occurred approximately 1 day prior to the discovery of the torso.
So she was probably tortured and then murdered.
Yeah.
Probably tortured, raped, and then murdered.
Oh,
that's sad.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Oh my gosh.
Just kill me.
Yeah.
Don't torture. Just kill me.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm wondering, like...
Maybe there was multiple people, though.
How much of the bruising could be from just being lying there for so long? Because you do get, well, I guess the settling of the blood to that area, would look different than a bruise. So I guess maybe there's a difference. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. Now, the victim's abdomen...
Did they know how long she was there?
So 24 hours. So she was dead 24 hours. So, she had to have ended up there within what? I mean,
not that long after she died.
Exactly. So, I mean, if she's been dead 24 hours, how much time do you need to dissect somebody? Yeah.
And he came and hung her up. That's why she was found at 5:15 a.m.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
So the dismembered sections of the body, wait. Was I up one? Okay, yep, I totally missed a line. So the victim's abdomen was also extensively mutilated in a manner reminiscent of the Ripper, although her genitals were not wounded. Which was... So I think this was like somebody trying to make it look like it was like Jack the Ripper.
So they didn't get caught, maybe?
Yeah, it's sort of like a red herring.
They sound like they were pissed. If they beat her... and stuff and then mutilated her, that's personal.
Yeah.
That was somebody she probably knew.
Promise you'll never do that to me.
I won't do that to you, Shay. I promise.
Your girls would be like, no, Mom, we're murdering you.
You did something to Shay? We're coming for you,
We're
Mom.
coming for you. Now, the dismembered sections of the body are believed to have been transported to the railway arch, hidden under an old chemise. Which is like it was like an underlayer for a dress. So would be like your slip. Okay. Sort of. Yeah. It was also like, nightwear.
So they hung that up and put the torso in it. Obviously somebody's gonna be curious, like, why is the hanging?
Yeah.
There's probably blood dripping.
Ew. God, girl.
Expensive.
You're so morbid. I thought I was bad. Now, the age of the victim was estimated to be between 30 and 40 years old. Damn, she was like our age.
Yeah.
Oh. Now, despite a search of the area, no other sections of the body were ever found, and neither the victim nor the culprit were ever identified.
I thought about it too. The bruises on her, she probably fought back.
Yeah.
And unfortunately lost.
Yeah. And, I mean... just like without like a name or anything like that, there's nothing they can do. You know, I mean, their current investigation skills can only go so far. So like if you don't know who it is, you don't know where you're going from there. So not much to do. Now, Chief Inspector Swanson and Commissioner Monroe noted that the presence of blood within the torso indicated that death was not from hemorrhaging or cutting of the throat. So because there was still blood in the body, they assumed that. So the pathologist, however, noted that the general bloodlessness of the tissue and vessels indicated that hemorrhage was the cause of death. Okay.
What?
Yeah, so I guess there's a little bit of...
I'm not sure what.
Pathologists are saying, no, you're wrong. And the cops are just like, listen, I've seen enough bodies. bodies. I know what I'm talking
She
about.
probably died before he dissected her.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would make me...
Maybe he slit her throat and pulled out her head.
Her heart was no longer beating, so there was still blood. Now, the newspaper speculation that the body belonged to Linda Hart, who had disappeared, was refuted after she was found recovering in a hospital after a bit of a spree, is what they called it. A bit of a spree. So it wasn't her. Another claim was that the victim was a missing girl called Emily Baker, was also refuted, as the torso was from an older woman who was also taller than Emily Baker. Now, Swanson did not consider this a Ripper case and instead suggested a link to the Thames Torso Murders in Ranheim and Chelsea, as well as the Whitehall mystery.
They all seem similar.
Yeah, they all kind of are.
Minus the fact that they didn't find the missing body parts.
Yeah, like some of the body parts weren't found. Like,
they were probably in plain sight. They just didn't see them.
Yeah. I mean, well, once it goes into the water, I mean, you're kind of subjective to what washes up on shore. And if it doesn't wash up on shore, it's out in the ocean, and then it's gone. Like, you're just never going to find it once it's out there. Mm-hmm. Now,
imagine how many bodies are in the ocean, or body parts.
Oh my god. Like, so I was just watching a documentary on Lake Superior, which is one of the Great Lakes out west, near like Michigan and all. Mm-hmm. I really want to go there. So like there's a famous ship that sank there called the Edmund Fitzgerald. And the lake is so cold that there's no bacteria to break down anything. So it literally freezes in time. Yeah. And there was actually, I was listening to a podcast. It's a woman who, she is a mortician, and runs a funeral home. So, like, I'm talking about you being morbid. I'm like, and she like explains the ins and outs of it, and this was something that she was interested in, was the Edmund Fitzgerald, and she was talking about how that they were just like frozen in time down there on the ship.
There's probably bodies.
They're so cold that it's so cold that their bodies have not started decomposing, so they don't float.
I know it's so cold. Has anybody ever tried to dive and go under?
Somebody did dive there. They did a recording, and then the recording was like sealed, because of, it was like they wanted to make a documentary, and the families fought it because they didn't want their relatives' remains being shown like that. So they weren't allowed to produce the documentary, I don't think. At least they weren't allowed to use that footage. But yeah, and it's in.
So that's awesome to probably see that. Not saying like I want to see their bodies, but that's pretty cool.
And there was like a whole thing where they had to go to court with Canada or something, to keep people from diving on it. So now they have like these buoys set up.
There's probably a lot of explorers that want to.
Yeah, and now if you do, you get fined. The fine is like insanely high if you get caught. And what they have is they have buoys that signal when like 15 miles out if somebody crosses them. They're like yeah, and then the Canadian Mounties come out and they'll arrest you. They'll arrest you, fine you. Yeah, because it's in Canadian water. So yeah, they protect the site as a memorial. So they actually had to so for the law to recognize it as a burial site, they actually had to go out and like do a memorial service and everything, so the families could protect that area.
That's crazy.
As like as a burial site. So, and it made it illegal for anybody.
So if anything dies down there, it just preserves.
Yeah, and like, it was, like, really cool. So I'm like, I really kind of want to, like, go out there and, like, see. I just want to see the lake and go to the museum.
And maybe stick a camera in the water and let it
and
swim.
just be like, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to go check out. Yeah, and there's a song, like a folk or a country singer, and it's about Lake Superior and how she never gives up her dead. So, like, if you die and go in there, you're not coming back. Like, there's just... So that's what the song's about. And about how Lake Superior doesn't give up her dead. And, yeah.
So you're stuck in time with her.
Exactly. Yep. Mother Nature is a cruel one. She's loving, but she's cruel, too. Yep. Just like us with the false spring. And so then went back
First
to
of all,
winter.
there's still Chicago. Chicago. There's still snow falling in Chicago. The groundhog lied.
Yeah.
Michael goes, oh, it's warm out today. I'm like, okay. I go outside with no jacket. I'm freezing.
Now, the newspaper speculated that the body belonged to Linda Hart, who had disappeared. Okay, yeah, so we already talked about Linda Hart. She turned up in a hospital. Emily Baker, they thought it was her, but no, the body was of somebody who was older and taller. They didn't think that it was Jack the Ripper, or he didn't think that the chief inspector didn't think that it was Jack the Ripper. He thought it was like, linked to, all these Thames torsos that had been washing up recently. And Monroe agreed with him. Now, these 3 murders and the Pitchin Street case are suggested to be the work of a serial killer nicknamed the Torso Killer, who could either be the same person as Jack the Ripper or a separate killer of uncertain connection. Now, links between these and 3 further murders, which would be the Battersea murders, the Battersea mystery. I just love that. Instead of it being a murder, it's a mystery because it's unsolved. I just love how they do that. It just seems, I don't know. It's a polite way of putting it. Like, it's very, like,
not murdered, you're just mysteriously dead.
Yeah. Now, and that, the Battersea mystery is from 1873 and 74.
So he killed for a while. Whoever this was killed for years.
I mean, I'm not sure if, maybe the one set of 2, just because of how the bodies were dissected, yes. The one was dissected completely differently. Mm-hmm. So I think that was a totally different person. Because I think if it's the same person, he's going to do it the same every single time, because that's how he's comfortable.
What you said about this last one being similar to the one that was hanging.
Yeah.
I think somebody tried to make it look like it was the Ripper.
Yeah.
Because they honestly murdered somebody with passion.
Yeah.
And didn't want to get caught. So they're like, I killed her, let me just chop her up really quick.
So he just tried to make it look like it was Jack the Ripper, because Jack the Ripper's in all the newspapers. Everybody's talking about Jack the Ripper. But they didn't really
disclose the part about the private area being dismembered at first, right?
Yeah, no.
So that's why it wasn't done.
Yeah, and word of mouth, though, because a lot of people at this time were not able to
do that, though. Like, I cannot do that to their
it takes a very special kind of person to be able to do that. Like, dissecting an animal versus a person, like, anatomically, it's not much different, but
killing a human is
just getting the gumption to do that would just be, it takes a special kind of person, to do that. Yeah. So the Battersea mystery from 73 and 74 was a case in which 2 women were found dismembered, and the 1884 Tottenham Court Road mystery. is also a possible link to these. Now, experts on the murders, known as ripperologists, colloquially known as ripperologists. So yeah, these are people that like, and there's a long list of people like here that just studied the Jack the Ripper cases. They discount any connection between the torsos and the Ripper killings on the basis of their difference in modus operandi, which I totally agree with, because he left everything where he did it. Like he didn't move the bodies anywhere. He didn't cut them up like into pieces. Like he did like an open dissection. Like yeah, and just left them like their bodies were pretty much whole.
Pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, you know.
I agree. I think it's a different person.
Yeah. So, the Commissioner, Monroe, was replaced, as Commissioner by Sir Edward Bradford on, the 21st of June, 1890, and after a disagreement with the Home Secretary, Henry Matthews, over police pensions. Yeah. So that case ended right there. Nothing else.
Because it didn't get paid enough, it didn't get closed.
Yeah. So there's did you want to talk about the Battersea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah. Okay. you're just down for it. You're just
Let's just go in there.
So outside of those 4 canonical cases, which were filed by the police as belonging to the same series, these ones were additional and are linked to the Thames Torso Murders. So we have the Battersea mystery. As I said, that one happened between 73 and 74. And these are 2 unsolved murders in London. Now, on September 5th of 73, the left quarter of a woman was found in a trunk.
The left quarter?
Left quarter.
Just like chopping up a section of her?
Yeah, left quarter. So it's either the top or the bottom.
Just like cut it in half.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Was discovered by the Thames Police Patrol near Battersea. Subsequently, a right breast was found at 9 Elms. A head.
How do you know if it's a right breast or a left breast?
Yeah, that's my question.
Unless you found the other half with it attached.
Yeah, like maybe it was like part of the arm.
Oh, maybe still had pieces on it. Okay.
Yeah, maybe it was like, you know, dissected like here and like here and like, okay, yeah, it's the breast, right breast side, which would make sense. I mean, but I mean, if it was just the breast itself, like,
you don't know which side.
Yeah, you don't. It could go on either side, unless you knew which one of her boobs was smaller than the other. Like, that just like hit me right there, because I'm just like, every woman has
the left side that they found had it attached.
Yeah.
Still, and then they just chopped off the right.
That is my guess. That's pretty much what I think.
The person that killed her knew that it was her right breast.
Yeah.
And found her.
All right. So the head was found at Limehouse. The left forearm was found at Battersea.
This is the first one that had their head found, right?
Yeah. Now, a pelvis was found at Woolwich. I apologize to our UK fans if I am pronouncing any of these streets or locations wrong. You guys can correct me. You guys did correct me on a couple of, like, because I have like how we pronounce like Worcester, like yeah, Worcestershire sauce. Like, we can't pronounce certain things, and so I had an entire issue of pronouncing areas that had shire at the end, like, and I would just pronounce it wrong, and they're just like correcting me really nicely in the Facebook or in the YouTube comments. I'm like, thank you. So if I'm pronouncing any of these wrong, guys, just let me know, and so I don't do it in the future. Now, until an almost complete body of a dismembered woman had been found. So they were literally finding bits and pieces until they had almost the entire body. Now, the nose and chin had been cut from the face, and the head had been scalped. That's kind of.
So they found her nose and they found her mouth, her chin.
Yeah. And but she didn't have her scalp. Which is it? It's I think it's the top section. It's this part here. Right? Yeah, it's like the cap.
And then they just peel.
Oh, yeah. Ugh. Now, under the leadership of the acting chief surgeon, Metropolitan Police, Thomas Bond, the corpse was reconstructed, so she was put back together. I don't want to think that they put it back together like Frankenstein, but I mean they laid it out.
Back on her nose.
They probably laid out the remains in the anatomical position that they belong in. They attempted to identify the remains, was disturbed by the curiosity of the public, and the police first showed a photograph to any potential witnesses. Yeah. Now, so the Lancet did report, I believe, on this. Contrary to the popular opinion, the body had not been hacked, but dexterously cut up. The joints have been opened and the bone neatly disarticulated. Even the complicated joints at the ankle and elbow.
That's a doctor. Yeah. Or maybe a medical student.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it is only at the articulation of the hip joint and the shoulder that the bone has been sawed through.
When I think of butchers, I don't think that they're going to neatly chop you up. I think they're just going to go hack your...
Well, I've another podcast that I listen to. He's a hunter, and he explained it as it's easier to separate anything at the joints than it is to saw through bone. It takes too much effort and energy, especially in a time when they didn't have electric sawzalls.
Yeah.
Or electric, without electric saws, it takes a long time to saw through a bone, especially your here and here, because you're gonna have some of your biggest bones are in those areas. So that makes absolutely no sense. So my guess is that they started, and then they were like, "Oh, this is too hard," and then
they went for the joints.
Yeah. So the jury passed a verdict of a willful murder against some persons or persons unknown in this case. The case remained unsolved in spite of a £200 reward. That's a lot of money back then. That's a lot of money. I'm not exactly sure what it is now, but it's got to be thousands of dollars at that time. Now, the reward being offered, and that was the reward being offered for information. Now, in June of 1874, the dismembered body of a female was discovered in the River Thames in Putney. The corpse lacked a head, both arms, and one leg, and had been treated with lime before being thrown into the river. Now, the jury returned an open verdict. So they didn't close that one; they left that one open. That case remains unsolved, and those two were linked together.
That is terrible.
I feel like it's totally different MO.
First of all, this is the one before this one you just mentioned. That's the first time we heard of a head.
Yeah.
Any facial features. Maybe there are copycats, or maybe we're like, hey, let's just cut up some bodies.
Yeah, I think they're just random people trying to just clean up after they killed somebody.
Chin or nose or ears or anything before.
Yeah.
No heads were found.
Yeah.
And the left leg was still left on.
Yeah.
Did you see the left leg?
Yeah.
Yeah. They decided to change it up, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, I don't think any of these are linked together at all. I think the only coincidence is possibly the fact that they were dismembered and tossed into the Thames. That's it.
First of all, in the 1800s, 1880s, a lot of people like to cut people up.
This is like smack dab in a highly populated area, very busy area.
Probably easier to get people off guard.
There's nowhere to bury a body. So the only way to get rid of one is to throw it into the water. Because what are you going to do? Dig a hole in your living room? Like, if you have a dirt floor. I mean, there was a case that they murdered a tenant or something, and they buried him underneath the floor.
Because they had like that. They also, one woman buried somebody in the floor in the backyard and in her walls.
Oh yeah,
there were dead bodies in her walls.
The bad roommates from hell or something like that. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that crazy woman. That was in California. Checks. Yes.
And so they were still alive. They were just on vacation.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
While they're dead in the backyard in the walls.
Yeah. No. There's nowhere to put a body. I mean, you could probably dig a hole, but it's probably going to be found really quick. Somebody's going to notice. So the easiest way is to like sneak out body parts in burlap sacks.
And what toss them. Made it easy back then is they didn't have any of that blood trace.
Yeah, blood analysis. And I mean, like, what are you going to do? Like, you can't tell the difference between animal and person. All they have to do is be like,
I killed a raccoon.
I just slaughtered a pig in here. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
I just beheaded a chicken.
I just, that was from dinner, like 2 weeks ago. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't test it. There's no forensic way of testing it, and that doesn't happen until, the 70s and 80s, like 1980s, 1970s. is when they get the first start of genetic testing, and then, I mean, even now they're still trying to perfect it and make it better.
True.
Like that, they just solved a 30-year-old, the I-75 killer? The I-70 killer? No, it was I-60, because we did a case, we did the I-70 killer. But there was another one on the I-60. I don't know what it is with serial killers and interstates. They just love them.
Let's just get somebody on the highway.
Yeah, truck drivers. That's it. Back in the day, when you didn't have anybody tracking.
Hitchhiking or I'm broken down the side of the road. Can you help me?
Yeah,
I hitchhiked once when I was little. I saw my mom. She almost killed me. Me and my friends were going like this on the side of the road because we were walking. We went somewhere we weren't supposed to. It was so far. And this old couple picked us up, like this hippie couple, and they did drop us off. But yeah.
Oh my god, you lived more than I did.
And I was like, ride please, and they picked us up. There was three of us.
How far did you go from your home?
Shoot, say from here to like the Walmart in Bristol.
You couldn't walk it?
No, probably a little bit further, like the Wawa. Down on 13.
Okay. Oh my god,
like down there.
Why would
we went really far?
That?
I don't know why we went there. I forgot, but when I told my mom, I was like, "Oh, this nice couple picked us up." She was like, "What?"
Especially in that time period, dude. Yeah, you could have. Girl, come on. That's it.
And then I started hearing about people disappearing because they were hitchhiking.
Yeah.
I made it home.
You're lucky. Lucky it was an old, nice couple and not a serial killer.
Yeah.
Jeez.
There's three of us,
what was the determining factor of getting into that vehicle? Were you just like,
laziness,
I'm gonna
so
risk
I didn't have to walk home in the heat
am I gonna
time.
risk it? Like you didn't like look at it and be like, are they safe?
So when you're young, you're dumb, and then you think that. So they were old, so I was like, they're nice, they're old. What are they gonna do to us?
Wait, I think you got to be closer to your mic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Try it one more time.
Hello. It was working.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Hi.
There we go. It's picking you up. Yeah, we got you. Either way, my mic will still pick you up.
Okay.
You just won't be as loud.
It's all good.
But yeah. So, crazy Chelsea getting up to no good as a kid. As a teeny bopper. Oh my gosh.
I think I had her in like Allie's age, maybe a little bit older.
You were so lucky your kids are.
Oh my god! If the kids did half the stuff I did, I would die.
My god! Yeah. Well, I mean, we're the latchkey kids. Like our parents were like, "No, you don't go nowhere." Started cracking down.
You're in the house by the time the street lights are on.
Yeah, the street light comes on.
Don't make me call your name.
Yeah, John had a rule that he had to hear a whistle. So he wouldn't, if he knew that he had to be home in like half an hour, he wouldn't go into his friend's house. He'd be like, nah, I gotta stay out here, because if I hear that whistle, I gotta go. And if he's like, maybe once he didn't hear the whistle, and you know.
No, when those streetlights went on, I had to be at that door walking in the house.
Yeah. John had to be sprinting down the road to get home by the time the light clicked on.
I made it. Safe.
Yep. So now we're going to talk about the Tottenham Court Road and the Bedford Square mystery. So the Tottenham Court Road mystery was reported by the Times on the 24th of October, 1884, and it is related to the skull of a woman, a skull and discovery of parts of a woman's body. Ooh. Now, a skull with flesh still attached to it was, I guess, pulled out of the water, and a chunk of flesh from a thigh bone. That's it. Now, near the Tottenham Court Road and Bedford Square, a woman's arm was found in a parcel. Ooh, that's different. Mm-hmm. And the arm had been tattooed, showing that it might have belonged to a prostitute. I don't know.
Even if she was a prostitute, people would know her.
Yeah. Now, a human torso was found in a parcel by a police constable as he passed 33 Fitzroy Square 5 days later. The parcel was believed to have been placed at the location between the hours of 10 and 10:15.
How did they get that time, do you think?
So, like, they got somebody who was like, oh, yeah, I was walking by there at, like, 10 o'clock, and there was nothing there. And then somebody must have came by at 10:15 and saw it.
And it was like, oh,
and they're
there's
like,
something
oh,
there.
There's the window. But, like,
the
really...
person that said there was nothing there attended it. Like,
yeah. It's like, who's going to admit to being the first person to see that? Because usually the person that reports it is the person that committed the crime. You see it a lot. Especially, like... nowadays, like, the first person that reports it is usually the person that did it. Yeah, they're the first suspect.
How'd you know it was there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the first question out of the cop's mouth. You're gonna be like, "What are you doing?"
Were you here? Where were you around this time?
What were you doing at 10 o'clock?
What were you doing yesterday?
Why were you walking by there at 10 o'clock?
Why were you there so late? Huh?
Yeah. Huh?
Did someone hide?
Except they're smacking you around a little bit while they're doing it. And,
Don't touch me.
They're punching you.
Did you do it? Did you do it? Ha.
Yeah. Or you do the thing like I would do to my sister. I'm not touching you.
Did you do it? I'm not touching you. The girls do that. It drives me crazy. I didn't touch her. I just put my finger in her face.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Then Eris goes, she breathed on me, Mom. Her breath is on my face. I'm like, what? She's like, I can feel it on my cheek.
And then you just go like this.
Wipe it off.
Here, it's gone. It's gone.
No more.
Now, the evidence was presented in an inquest on the 11th of November, held at St. Giles Coroner's Court. This concluded that the body parts came from a woman, that they and that they might have been divided by someone who was skilled, but not for the purpose of anatomy. So not a doctor, probably a butcher. The inquest resumed on the 9th of December. More evidence was presented and shown how it was skillfully dissected and came from a woman. I mean, true. I mean, they're looking...
So listen to this. What if somebody murdered somebody and paid a butcher to chop them up?
Yeah. That's a good idea. I mean...
If you know a butcher, they want money, I'll chop your body up for you.
I'm sure the mob has done that before.
Mm-hmm. Chop this body up and get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and that was all stated by Dr. Jenkins. That's all I got for his name. That's it. Dr. Jenkins. That's all they referred to him as. No first name, just the last name. With a DR in front of it. Now, the evidence was the right arm and the right and left foot, along with the right forearm of a single individual. Now, these two mysteries still remain unsolved.
There's a lot of unsolved mysteries back then.
Yeah. So now there's like a French, very French, La Mysterie de Montrouge. Yeah. And the Lambeth mystery, which Lambeth, because right around this time they had another guy that was the Lambeth killer. And he was literally a doctor poisoning people. So yeah, that was pretty. Now, this one was actually in a book, recent book, from 2002 by R. Michael Gordon. Yeah. So somebody wrote about this particular case, and the book was called The Thames Torso Murders of Victorian London by R. Michael Gordon. Suggested that they may be linked to a murder in Paris from 1886, as well as another murder in London in 1902. Now, in November of the 1886, a woman's torso was found on the steps of the Montrouge church in Paris, missing the head, legs, and right arm, left breast, and uterus.
To know how to take out a uterus, that's a doctor.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely doctor and med student. Now, in June of 1902, a woman's torso was found in Salmick Alley in Lambeth, in London. The suspect was never identified. They speculated that it was Jack the Ripper. Yeah.
But he never removed...
He did.
He did?
He did. So he did remove organs. One time in fact,
He removed the uterus, or he just chopped it up there?
I think he did remove one. But I believe some of... oh my gosh. Who is it? Hannibal Lecter was like partially based on him. And then I think it was like Jeffrey Dahmer.
I could see that.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer and Jack the Ripper. Because he wrote the letter, Dear Boss, the boss letter, which was just him bragging about killing the victim and taking part of her liver and eating it. And he's like, I had it for supper, and, here's the other half. And he mailed it to them with this letter. It was like, yeah, but some people were like, oh, I don't think that... There was one letter that they were like, no, that's not really from the Ripper, from Jack the Ripper.
So why did they think that?
Some of it, the writing sounded different. So they thought it was just a med student playing a prank. And I'm just like, there's a lot of throwing around, like, it's a med student pranking. Like, it's not funny. I don't know who would think it's funny. Yeah.
Things into the, I don't know. I'm gonna send you a heart.
Yeah, so they thought it was Jack the Ripper. The Metropolitan Police said, no, there's no connection. Jack the Ripper is totally different. So it's debatable whether Jack the Ripper and the Torso Killer were the same person. I think they're totally different. Now, I think the canonical Ripper victims, they all match because there's similarities. The MO is the same. Mm-hmm. There's similar sightings of particular looking individual. So you got like the leather apron guy, the mustache, the top hat. Whereas in this you don't. Yeah.
Because they only found the torso. And then they found the head. Yeah. The legs, and the right arm.
And they're finding parts. Breast. And who's to say those parts even belong to one person? You have no way of testing that.
True. Like multiple different women.
Exactly. Like,
her head here, her arm over here with this other body.
Yeah, I think they're all separate individuals. Jack the Ripper, his all the same. One person. I think this one, maybe one or two of them done by the same person. The rest, I'm pretty sure were somebody completely different.
Too. Oh no, it was missing the head.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a part of.
They literally just found the torso. All right, so it was literally, it was missing the head, the legs, the right arm, and the left.
And the uterus.
Yeah.
So they went up there and took out the uterus.
Yeah. Oh.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, the police speculated that two separate people working in the same area. The modus operandi of the Torso Killer was different from that of the Ripper, and the police at that time discounted any connection between the two. So here we go. Yeah, so in fiction, so there was a couple of things that did focus on the torso murders. As I was saying, in the opening scenes of the King Came Calling, which is the episode in the first season of the program Ripper Street, which takes place in 1889, London, Edmund Reed, played by Matthew McFadden, conducts an experiment to try and discover where Elizabeth Jackson's remains were dumped into the river, and the ambiguity of Jackson's provenance leads the detectives with Reed's oh my gosh, I can't opposite number in the City of London police who wants jurisdiction over the case.
Yeah.
It was like I said, I was like, oh yeah, I was talking about that earlier.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's just a TV show. But
I think it's nuts how so many people are murdered in similar ways, but by multiple people.
Yeah. I mean, how many ways are there to actually murder somebody? I mean, that stabbing,
the one that was really
shooting,
different was the woman hung up underneath the slip, bruised up.
Yeah.
I think that was personal. I think that was one. I think that might have been one and done.
Yeah.
But some of them sound similar.
Yeah,
some of them do not sound like
I said, the two where the bodies were severed in similar circumstances, I think those are connected. But I don't think that the police were necessarily working the right way by thinking that it was one person that committed all of them.
I think they wanted to close the cases, so they were just like, this person did it.
Yeah, and then they ended up closing them with the coroners being like, yep, murder by assailant unknown. So, yeah. Well, that's it.
It was nice.
Yeah. We had fun.
Podcast for the first time.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get you on here for another episode.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
And I'll read about the murders.
Yeah, next time she'll read the research I sent her.
Yes. I like discarded it.
Yeah, so we got some good episodes coming up.
I cannot wait.
I'm super excited. So like I'm gonna show Chelsea a list. Don't tell them what it is yet. Okay. So this one is one I just recorded. This guy, he was really interesting. He's a total dirtbag. Then we have this one here. We're gonna be going back to like the 60s, like 1960, small town in Texas. Like, it's a murder, but it's not a murder. But it is. Like it's gonna be a conundrum all on its own. But yeah, I got like so many good stuff planned out. It's like I can't wait.
I love it.
Yeah. So that is it, guys, for the Thames Torso Murders. We hope you enjoyed listening to this, and enjoy the rest of your day, your weekend.
Make sure you like,
share,
you download, you share,
subscribe.
It all helps.
Yes.
Go on Patreon if you want to contribute to the podcast.
And then thank you for the lights.
Oh yeah, we have new lights.
Yeah, we recorded with them the other night, so they were like awesome.
I'm so glad you like them.
So also a special shout out to our patrons on Patreon. Stacey, Chelsea, and Ralunk. Thank you guys for donating. And if you guys want to become a supporter of your favorite podcast, which may or may not be us, if you want to support us, you can go onto Patreon. Link will be down in the bio. Bye, guys.
Bye.